Your instinct does not have a good thought. Your instinct has a bad thought. When insufficient data, it defaults to negatives. If I can't work out if you're angry or happy, I will make you angry. I will default to the negative because
Hi guys, welcome to the show where we learn from the people who have followed their passion to achieve great success and have impacted many lives. If you have not already done so, then please do consider subscribing to this channel and don't forget to hit the bell icon so that you get notification of all my future videos. I'm your host Ajay Mathur, and my guest today is an expert in non-verbal communication and human behavior. He's voted as #1 in the world as a body language professional. He not only teaches the executives from Fortune 500 companies such as Microsoft, Johnson & Johnson, KPMG, to name a few, but also coaches the politicians and prime ministers from G7 nations. He makes regular appearances on the national TV in Canada, including CBC, CTV, and CNN. He has been also featured on the Wall Street Journal and Washington Post. Not only that, he has also authored 4 best-selling books on body language and human behavior. In addition, he's also a founder of a company called Truthplane, and the mission of the company is to teach people how to communicate with impact. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the man who is always energetic, engaging, and entertaining, Mark Bowden. Welcome, Mark.
Great to be here. Yeah, lovely to be here. Thanks for having me, AJ. Thanks for that lovely introduction. And it's great to see you there in London at the moment, because that's where I used to live myself in Camden Town.
I'm in London and Mark is in Toronto, Canada right now.
Yeah.
Thanks to Zoom to make this possible.
Absolutely.
So you have done so much of work in this area, and there is a lot that we can learn from you. But before I delve into something, let me ask you, what is the history and the science behind the non-verbal communication body language?
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, great question. So, really in my mind, it goes right back to Darwin, Origin of Species. Charles Darwin first started thinking, I guess scientifically, or more scientifically, around nonverbal communication and body language. He was interested as he was traveling around the world on the Beagle, looking at other life on Earth. He was interested in that wherever he went, there seemed to be a similarity between the way people communicated, although he might meet different cultures, different languages, very different people. He was picking up similarities, and he would have been one of the first scientists, modern scientists, to have a fairly good international experience. So he started thinking about this, and he wrote a little bit about that in The Origin of Species and some other books. But really, other scientists further down the line explored further his idea and looked at the science of how do we communicate in a similar manner, and how at all are we different. And from then on, I mean, academically and scientifically, there's been a great deal of exploration around human communication, why we do what we do, what's the psychology behind that, the evolutionary behavioral psychology also, and what can we learn, and of what use is it? Like, why would it be useful to understand how human beings move and what that might communicate to us?
So when we do communicate non-verbally, what is happening in your brain, just to understand it a little bit better scientifically?
Well, there would be some non-verbal communication which is purely autonomic. I mean, you can't help it. A little bit like it's, my guess is for you, AJ, if you step into a very cold shower, it would be very hard for you not to start shivering or tense up. I mean, you could try and resist that. You could try, but I would gamble quite a bit of money that you don't manage it very well. And certainly if you trained yourself not to respond to that, if I surprised you with a bucket of cold water, you'd still do it again. So some of our reactions to the world around us, we really can't help do. Some of the reactions to the world around us, you know, a kind of cultural. We've to an extent been trained. We've looked at our communities around us and we've copied their behaviors, and now we've picked them up on an unconscious level. And there might be some behaviors that we're very conscious of that we do. We might do them because of the environment around us. We might realize we're doing them, and some we may not realize that we're doing. They may be idiosyncratic to us and we're unconscious of them, or they may be idiosyncratic to us, or many people might do them, but we might be really conscious of those. So non-verbal communication, which encompasses everything but the words, so it means tone of voice as well, the context that you're in as well. I would say all of it is a reaction and action to the power in the world around us. It's the way the world around us provokes us consciously and unconsciously into action, and the way we try and provoke the world around us consciously and unconsciously with the actions that we put upon the world around us, the environment, including all the people around us. Hope that was an okay explanation of nonverbal communication.
Yeah, and they say that it is the nonverbal communication accounts for around 60 to 70% of your communication. What does exactly that mean, and how do they actually quantify that?
Yeah, so there is what's called the Moravian numbers, and it turns out in the Moravian study, I think it's something like 93% of communication is nonverbal. That's not that's the way people express it, especially on the internet. We're on the internet right now, so let's correct that. What it really comes down to is the majority of information that our brains want in order to make a prediction about how somebody else is feeling or intending towards us. The majority of the information that we want to make that prediction is nonverbal. So to put it another way, if I'm trying to work out if you're happy or sad or angry or frustrated or tired or whatever, if I'm trying to work that out, my brain mainly wants to see your behavior. It partly wants to hear the tonality of your voice, the musicality of your voice. And what you say doesn't really make a huge amount of difference unless what you say is very, very different from what you're doing. And then it almost makes no difference at all, because ultimately we're going to come down to your behavior. If I want to work out, are you angry with me? If you say, Mark, I'm not angry, but I see anger, or I see what I believe to be anger, my instinct, and also some of my conscious mind as well, is going to go, AJ is angry right now. So Moravian, when he came up with those numbers, really wasn't talking about all communication is nonverbal. I mean, that would be ridiculous. And Moravian was, a very clever guy in communication and academics. So he wouldn't make that kind of wild claim. I mean, if all communication were mainly nonverbal, how would you ever read a book? Yeah. That wouldn't work. Okay, how would you listen to radio, or a podcast? That wouldn't work. So we're looking at what is somebody doing to get the idea of feeling and intention, and then we're putting that against the words, and we're working out, is what I see and what I hear in the tonality of voice and the situation that we're in, is that close to what they're saying, or is it very, very different? And by that, we're making the decisions about how somebody's thinking or feeling.
Right. Okay. And in one of your speech, in your TED speech or another video that I watched on YouTube, you said that insufficient data defaulting to negative. And that I found it quite interesting. So could you elaborate a little bit more onto that?
Yeah. So think about your unconscious mind. It's trying to judge the risk of other people. Are they happy to be around here? Are they sad? Are they upset? Are they angry? Are they tired? And everything else. But what does it do if it's not getting enough information to make a really strong decision for itself? We call it theory of mind. How does it get theory of mind? It's mainly getting theory of mind, a theory about how you're thinking and feeling from the non-verbal information. But what if it's not getting a lot of non-verbal information? Does it get optimistic and go, I don't know whether AJ is angry, but I don't know, let's make him happy because let's have a good thought. No, your instinct does not have a good thought. Your instinct has a bad thought. When insufficient data, it defaults to negatives. If I can't work out if you're angry or happy, I will make you angry. I will default to the negative because my instinct is designed to save me. It doesn't care about you and it doesn't care about accuracy. It cares about survival. My instinct wants me alive today, accurate tomorrow. And that's why when we read body language, on the whole, we've got to understand, you know, generally as a population, we've got to understand that our instinct is not trying to be accurate about other people's body language. It's trying to be safe about it. That's all. And that's why we often read body language unconsciously badly. But it doesn't matter because nobody died when we read it badly. In fact, that was the point. The point was survival. So I hope that makes sense as to insufficient data default to a negative and why our instinct is a pessimist, not an optimist.
Yeah, and that actually supports that logic of being indifferent to majority of people that you spoke in your chat speech as well. That makes a lot. Yeah.
So the indifference is interesting because you know, if somebody doesn't show up as, you know, happy to see us, good for us or bad for us, then ultimately we pretty much don't see them. We're just indifferent to them at an unconscious instinctual level. Yes, I know there might be the social mammalian part of your brain that might hang around in the group, but it's just hanging around to be socially nice and socially safe. Instinctually, it has no idea why it's there. There's no benefit. It's indifferent.
Is the understanding of the body language, is it innate in the humans or we always have to learn it? I mean, the question I ask you is because when you look at these small kids, right, like babies, 2, 3 years old, they probably would make out if you're angry or sad or whatever mood you are in. But not everybody who's adult can make it out.
Yeah. So as a good generalization, infants will be able to tell when you're smiling, and they'll also be able to tell when you might be threatening in some way. Of course, it would be useful if they can work out if somebody around them is good for them or bad for them. And if the person around them is bad for them, they might go very, very quiet, and still, or they might start to cry, to alert somebody nearby who maybe they can smell, you know, who may be useful for them. There could be a number of reactions, okay? But ultimately, infants at a very, very early age are able to, you know, to tell a smile from a frown. They tend to not like that image. They like that image. Now, in adults, yes, you may have met some adults in your life or come across some people or heard of some people who don't seem to be able to detect emotions as well as some others, okay? I think at the moment, it's not quite understood as to whether they are devoid of that ability or actually they're extremely acute in that ability and it's overwhelming, and so they suppress that ability or put it to one side or put a barrier up against it because it's quite overwhelming. I don't think, from my understanding, certainly, we don't quite know what it is, and various people who are very good have various ideas and tests and theories. But suffice to say, it is worth noting that if you think you're with somebody who isn't feeling emotions or doesn't feel, well, that's your assessment and it's not necessarily their reality.
Okay.
In fact, I've interviewed and worked with people who many people in the organization have said, oh, you know what, we can't We can't detect any feelings from this person. They're quite difficult to work with because we don't know how they're thinking or feeling. They're difficult to be, it's difficult when they're the leader or they're managing us. It's very tricky. But when I would ask them verbally about their thoughts and feelings, they were very clear about their feelings, very clear, verbally, very, very clear. And also very upset that they weren't getting understood and their feelings weren't understood. You know, and when looked into it, there were some very good reasons why they weren't, you know, as communicative as others, visually, non-verbally with their feelings. But it certainly wasn't the case that they weren't having them.
Yeah, I mean, I had some more thoughts that I'll come to, but something came up from here is that when you look at an infant, they try to mimic if you're smiling to them, they'll smile back, right?
Sure.
And that is one of the recommendations from yourself and from many other body language experts, that if you mimic the behavior of the party you're talking to, then it kind of empathizes. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. So look, we mirror anyway. We're unconsciously designed to mirror anyway. And the extent to which that unconsciously happens can be an indicator as to how well people are getting on, how connected they are. Now, having said that, the mirroring at the start of a relationship is used to work out, is it easy to mirror this person? Mm. So we can often, at the start of a relationship, mirror quite a lot, quite quickly, and then it can start dying down because, you know, for example, your behaviors might be difficult for me to mirror, and so my instinct goes, oh, I'm not sure we're going to get on. Maybe, for example, you grew up in a different culture, and that different culture being from a different part of the planet, some of the movements of the body are very, very different because the environment that culture started in and may still be in was a very, very different environment. The body has to move in a different way to make the most of that environment or even survive in that environment. And so we meet each other and my instinct starts to mirror you in quite a big way. And then it goes, this feels really uncomfortable. This is odd, or it's hard work mirroring this person. And so you'd look at us at the start of the relationship and go, wow, they're really getting on. And then 5 minutes later, you go, oh, they're not getting on at all. This is not working because, you know, I'm too tired or exhausted or confused after 5 minutes of unconscious mirroring. But yes, we can consciously mirror as well on purpose in order to try and build what many people call rapport. And there are some good reasons why you'd want to consciously do that. And some people may have some nefarious reasons for wanting to do that. But of course, it is actually possible. It does work, but you don't have to mirror on purpose because we're designed to do it unconsciously anyway.
But that's actually quite interesting because if you know this, how to do it, and you can actually manipulate the behavior. So, for example, after 5 minutes, you realize that you're not really getting along with this person, but you know that if I keep doing the mirroring, maybe because there is some benefit that I can want to take out of that person, right? I can use this technique, right? Isn't it?
Well, you can. What's interesting is, and I really advocate this, is you can push yourself. You can go, you know, I may meet you, and that wouldn't be the case for you and I. And I know because we were chatting earlier, Ajay, that you were born in India, and I'm not quite sure where in India. India's a vast country. But because of Britain's colonialism in India, there's often a lot that's similar around somebody from England or Britain and somebody from India. We have, you know, we've picked up a lot of stuff from both of our cultures. And so, but my guess would be, is that if you weren't in London right now and you were back in India and you were back in your home environment, you might, and maybe using, because my guess is you have other languages as well. English is not going to be your only language, and you started going to one of your other languages, you might start to gesture in a way that I I haven't grown up with.
Mm.
And so I might start to go, wow, it's really, it's really difficult for me to mirror what's happening here. I mean, my fingers don't move like that. My hands don't move like that. And they aren't up at that level. And that's really tricky. And so I might start to go, oh, is AJ and I, are we ever going to get on? Are we ever going to get on? And I could go, I'm going to push it to see if we can, because I'm going to do some hard work of trying to mirror even better what AJ is doing. And that's going to be hard work for me, but I want to put in the hard work of that. And I don't want to sit back on my instinct and my culture and go, this is hard because it's not usual for me. And therefore I'm tired and confused by it. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, that's quite interesting, actually. I will start doing the practice of this. Let's see what Okay, coming back to the current time, now that we are having more and more meetings on Zoom and online platforms. So the vast majority of your body is actually not seen. So when you talk about the body language, you not only the hands and the mouth, the face, but you also look at the legs and how people are moving and all those things. Now, the range has now so constrained when we are talking to people, and most of the communication is happening online at the moment. How can you concise your research onto this area and give us something that can be useful for the online meetings?
Yeah, so what we've got to understand is when we're communicating with somebody else online is that we don't see as much as we would in real life. You know, when we first got online together, AJ, if we were in real life, we probably would have approached each other, maybe standing. Well, certainly, you know, if you were in your office environment, say, usual work environment, I might have come to see you and you'd have seen me walk in. So you'd have seen the whole of my body. And that would have helped you make an assessment about me. And it might have made you feel more comfortable. So I've got to understand that there could be a level of unconscious discomfort because we're not getting to see the full picture of each other. And part of our unconscious mind is going, what's going on? What's going on? You know, where am I right now? Where, you know, where's AJ? What's happening there? What's happening with his feet? And I've got to suspend my judgment about that. So the first thing is when I'm reading or judging you, essentially, I've got to suspend that judgment and go, I don't really know. I shouldn't make judgments. And if I've got questions, I should ask those questions rather than making judgments on not enough information. Of course, one of the things we can do, I mean, it'll affect the sound here, but I could, you know, stand up and talk to you so that you could see more of me, and that might build trust. But we're it's like me talking to you from across the road. We're a bit kind of socially distanced right now. What's nice about Zoom is we can actually get into quite personal space with each other and be quite related. And you can see a lot that's probably happening on my face because the camera's pretty good and I'm well lit. And I'm getting good eye contact with you. So I think the thing to do is to use the camera at what it's very good at, which is it's pretty good, especially webcams are pretty good about seeing everything. And they're pretty good at getting a good definition on close-up and seeing the environment at the same time. And so therefore, I'm making sure that I'm, you know, you've got a good view of me in close-up. I am trying to now and again show you my hands. So you're seeing more of those. Again, more sufficient data. I have set up my environment so it has some clues and some indicators about me and what I value. And at the same time, I'm seeing your environment back there. And I got some questions about that because I can't quite see. But if I were to interview you or interrogate you about those, it would help me understand some values, because the objects that you're around or the objects that you allow yourself to be around can often say something about what's important to you or of interest to you or the mind that you occupy, essentially. Anyway, I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And you say that you have to open yourself to your audience or whoever you're communicating with. And when you talk about it, you actually talk about the truth plane, you call this area,
Mm-hmm.
truth plane, right?
Yeah.
How do you open yourself in an online meeting when you can't see the truth plane?
Yeah, so it's pretty, you know, I have to, for you to see the truth plane, which these open palm gestures at navel height, which will, you know, it's a great trust gesture. It's that for my money, it's the best universal trust gesture, is that open palm gesture at navel height. We see it across iconography, across the planet, of people that we should trust. But you're right, when we get on that webcam and we're sitting, yeah, it disappears out of view. Well, one thing I can do is just bring myself back far enough so that you can see that. Now, of course, I've now gone out of that personal space now, so I seem a bit more distant to you. But this might be a good way for me to start the relationship here, and then move forward. Once you've seen that, move forward into personal space so I can build the relationship with the face. Or instead of giving you open palm gestures at navel height, I'm giving you open palm gestures at what I would call the passion plane, and sometimes at closure and disclosure. So at least I'm going to feel open and energetic up here because I'm up at the passion plane. And when I do open palm gestures in the plane of closure and disclosure, you'll get a sense of that I'm giving you information, I'm giving stuff, I'm disclosing stuff, I'm open in what I say. So these are pretty good gestures. What I want to avoid is closed gestures, barrier gestures around the plane of closure and disclosure, or even barrier gestures, barriers around the passion plane here, because you'll notice they close in my chest area. You get a different tone of voice here as well. And notice what happens when I open up those gestures here. It's pretty instant what happens.
Is there any connection between the tone of voice versus the gesture you're making? So you just now gave a demonstration, so you had sounding different when you were here versus here. Does it happen naturally, or are you doing it?
Yeah, no, it happens naturally. All our muscles are connected by fascia, the outer kind of packaging that the muscle bundle is in, and those fascia have nerve cells, those casings have nerve cells, and those nerve cells talk to each other. So muscles talk to other muscles, muscle bundles talk to other muscle bundles without the use of the central nervous system. So often without the use of the spinal column or the brainstem or the neocortex or anything else, you know, motor cortex. So my vocal cords know what my neck muscles are doing. My neck muscles know what my chest muscles are doing. My arms know what my hands are doing without the use of anything else. And so you'll notice that if I close in my body here, number one, my lungs aren't able to move how they were moving before. This means I'm actually just getting less oxygen into my bloodstream, or certainly if I'm getting the same amount, well, no, I mean, if I'm getting less, it's getting shared out. It's got to decide which parts of the brain get it and which parts of the brain don't get it. So you can probably notice a whole bunch of different behaviors with me. Just now I've lowered the amount of oxygen in my bloodstream. See what I'm going to do now is my hands here. All I'm going to do is grip hard onto my forearm there. That's all I'm doing, but you'll notice it gives a whole different different sense to me. I'll just release that and so on.
Sorry, that makes a lot of sense. And I think that's the reason that when you're in power pose like this, you feel and sound more confident, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, many people have found that to work. The science maybe hasn't been quite been able to be replicated around exactly why it does that in terms of the neurotransmitters that may or may not be produced. What happens in the endocrine system or may not happen in the endocrine system. But ultimately, it's very hard to disprove that something seems to happen for many, 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 many people. so exactly why that may not be proven at the moment, but that it happens. Yeah. I mean, that's been known for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, that if you change your body, you change your state of mind. If you change your environment, your body will change and your state of mind will change. You know, go for a walk, it feels different. Yeah, stand still, it feels different. Yeah, jump up and down, it feels different.
Back to the online meeting again, what do you think is the number one mistake that people make while meeting online with a group?
Oh, yeah, that's really easy. They use their laptop as a laptop. Let's just suggest that normally, you know, they're meeting online and they're using their laptop, because many of us have laptops and not standalone computers now. They get straight onto the online meeting and they're still using their laptop as a laptop. So let me just give you an example of that, because I'm going to switch to my laptop now and switch to my laptop camera. Bear with me a second. I'll just do that. Here we go. To this here. Okay, so now I'm on my, you know, integrated laptop camera, and you know, do you feel different about our meeting now? Because it's the same person, it's just the same me. Yeah, same person. Certainly I feel different because I'm looking, you know, you're now beneath me and I'm above you. But I wasn't trying to do that. That's just what happens with the laptop. And I was on my laptop and then we decided to have a call. So what I didn't do is note that when I went on the call with you, my laptop stopped being a laptop and it became a camera. And so now what I need to do to remedy that is I'm going to get my waste paper basket like this, and I'm going to pick up my laptop and put it on top of my waste paper basket. Let me just change that. And there we go. Is that instantly better for you?
So much better, so much better.
Yeah, so much better. Wasn't that easy? Because what I realized is my laptop isn't a laptop anymore. It's now a camera, and the camera needs to come up to eye level so we can be on the level with each other. We can see eye to eye and we can get on. So here's what I do. I'm actually, let me switch back my cameras. Oh, maybe I can turn this around and show you let me try that. Yeah, let me try that. We become unplugged. I'll call you back. You can see here. I don't know how well you can see here. Oh, there you are. Yeah. Can you see here what I've done? I've got a camera on top of a tripod. My second monitor is on top of a box. See that little smiley face behind the camera to remind me to look there. And so, now let me turn it round again. Hold on there a second. There we go. And I'm going to switch. Actually, I'm going to take this off here. There we go. I'm going to switch cameras again. AJ, hold on there a second.
Yeah.
No, that's the wrong one. There we go. Let's come back to there. There we go. I'm back again. Yeah. So look, you don't need to have an extra camera and a tripod and a big monitor. You just need to get a cardboard box. You know, wait for something to be delivered via Amazon or whatever system you use. Use the box, put your laptop on top of it. And there you go.
What can you do when you are having a meeting with many people? So it's not one-to-one, there are many people who are talking to you. What can you do to connect with wider audience such as that?
Well, yeah, you really need to, look down the camera. So remember that smiley face that I put in front of the camera, and that helps you remember that it doesn't matter where they are on the screen, you're connecting with them via that camera. Also, what I try and do, so I've got your face at the moment right next to my camera. So even if I look right at you, I should be looking almost at the camera right now. I mean, I could actually put you behind the camera. It's like now you've got your body and a lens head at the moment, but I wouldn't be able to note any nonverbal information from that. The thing is to try and, put people around the camera. So when you look at the camera, you're seeing most people as well in your peripheral vision. That's about your best bet. But it's tricky to do. It's tricky to do. So you just got to do the best you can. It's just like real life. Just like the real life out there. It's really tricky when you're amongst lots of people. Do your best. That's all.
I hope we will start to meet now physically, than staying on the online platform.
Yeah, it'll happen eventually. I'm not quite sure when, but it'll happen eventually.
So coming back to the science and the history of the body language, in your book about how to tame your primitive brain, you gave like 28 different ways to manage that behavior. So I want to ask you two things. One is how much impact your primitive brain has onto your nonverbal communication, and then how to tell us a couple of tips to how to tame it.
Yeah, good. Okay, so as I said, a lot of your nonverbal behavior is done by the autonomic system. You've got no control over it at all. And even if you do some kind of meditation or mindfulness or whatever to try and contain your usual reactions, if things surprise you, you'll probably spring back to your usual behaviors. So one of the things that you can do is understand the kind of environments that trigger you with behaviors that you would want to do less of. So let's take one. Maybe you're a bit tired of being so angry sometimes. Let's just take that. And maybe you could investigate, where are the environments, not necessarily like what is it that makes me angry, but where are the environments that happens? Where's the places and the people and the things and the events that go on? You know, so where are the places, where's the environment where that person turns up and I get angry? Or where's the environment where that thing tends to happen and I get angry? I don't want to be angry. I don't want to be so angry anymore. Okay, well then don't go there. Don't go to that environment. Well, that might not be possible because it's like, I have to go there. Like, there's some important reasons why I go there. That person shows up and then they do this and then I get really angry and I don't like that. So now, okay, so you got to go there. It's not that you can't avoid it. You don't want to avoid it. You want the thing that is the benefit. Okay, so now you've got to know that you are most likely to be angry there. Mm-hmm. That's all. And now you could prepare for that. I'm not saying you can stop being angry. That might take some different kind of work. But now can you just understand that's most likely to happen? That's all. Now it won't be a surprise. Now you won't go, I went there and I got angry. It's like, of course you did. Of course you did. You should know that by now. Now you've got to manage the knowing that will tend to happen. Yeah, and I don't know how you're gonna do that, but certainly understand you're probably quite predictable. You're probably quite predictable, and you should just maybe, understand that. You show up to certain places with certain people, there'll be certain reactions to that. Either stop showing up to those places or realize that's most likely to happen. Hope that makes sense, Ajay.
Sure. Yeah, and in your another book, Winning Body Language, you say that how you tell the ways to win trust using the wave of your hand. Could you elaborate that, please?
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, it's really, it's not necessarily that you're waving your hand, although, trust in the wave of the hand. If the hand is up by the face here, generally across the planet, in most cultures, the hand up next to the face where it can be seen and open, especially the dominant hand, is a signal of, look, no tools, no weapons, nothing in my hands. Yeah, I'm not here to harm you. I'm not here to hurt you. And in some cultures, it's turned to the wave there, which is either hello or goodbye. And again, it means there's no harm here. There's no problem here. Now, of course, some people will say, oh, no, I think in some cultures, the showing of the palm of the hand is quite rude. Well, it tends to be forward like this. That's why it tends to be. And again, yes, in most cultures, if you do the forward push, into the face, there's nothing good about that. Okay, but up near yours, out of their space, as a good generalization, you can't go far wrong than from a distance, waving your hand to people.
Yeah, so there's a big caveat here to look at the background and the culture of the person coming from before you start using your body language to influence them, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. There is a huge amount of body language that is universal, and there is some that is not universal, and there is some that you'll read in books and you think it's not universal, but the book has got it wrong. It's really it's it really hasn't taken into account a really important specific about that piece of behavior. And the open hand is one of them. That yes, there are some cultures where the open hand is not a good signal, but it's the open hand is very, very forward, which isn't the same as it being back here. Yeah.
Yeah, but the common thing is that clearly there is a lot you can understand about the person just by the body language alone, right? And with that, I just wanted to ask you, do you think it's a good idea to have the body language as a academic subject to learn for children, for example, to have them become a better communicator in future?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. Should it be on a syllabus? I don't see any harm in it. Like, I don't see any harm in math being on the syllabus, or art being on the syllabus, or English, or any language. Or it's not going to harm anybody by knowing this kind of thing. So certainly most courses on most stuff don't really involve a lot of study of nonverbal behavior. Even a lot of academic psychology courses at very good establishments don't spend a lot of time on nonverbal behavior, and yet people are super interested in it, and it changes their life on many occasions. On many occasions, it gets us out of trouble. It gets us into trouble. We put a lot of weight on it. We ruminate on it. We go into, what were they? Oh, they told me this, but it didn't feel right. There was something odd. They were saying it in an odd way. And we spend, days thinking about it and never asking them, what did you mean? So we spend a lot of time thinking about it and worrying about it, and yet nobody tends to teach it a great deal, apart from people like me and some others out there. But we're kind of really obsessed by it and fascinated by it. And luckily there's some people out there who want to learn. So we have jobs.
Yeah, I think actually that brings me to my very basic question. I wanted to know from you, why did you get involved into this body language? Why did you find it so interesting? Is there any story behind it? What's your why?
Yeah, so I was fascinated by it. I was fascinated by biological behavior, animal behavior as a kid. British TV was really full of really great natural history documentary. And one of the documentaries that came up was Desmond Morris's Man Watching. It was a TV show, and I thought that was great. This is an early edition of the Man Watching book. It's now republished as People Watching, I think. But Desmond Morris was great, and I loved his book because it was full of just great pictures as well. And I loved the pictures of people. There's one great one of Dali there on at his house in Spain with a huge egg by him. And I'd look at this stuff and be, this picture here triumph displays, really great. Looking at how people show triumph, all over the world, like that, by maximizing the space that their body takes up. Very vulnerable place to put yourself in. If if somebody's coming at you with a weapon, they're going to hit something really quickly. So triumph kind of says, there's no risk. There's no risk. I'm triumphant. Anyway, I was obsessed with that kind of stuff. Found it fascinating, and so I started getting other books as well. This one is from the It must be from the 1970s or early 80s. You can tell because it costs £8.50. £8.50 face values, and Sutherland. Again, it's just full of just great pictures. I love the pictures.
Looking back, yeah, go on. Sorry.
And so I just got obsessed with behaviour and anthropology and bodies and pictures and moving pictures, and just followed that line. As you can tell, I just, there aren't many of us, but I'm one of the people who just loves all of that stuff.
And I can see behind you the poster of your latest book, Truth and Lies.
Yeah. Truth and Lies.
And it says what people are really thinking.
Yeah.
Can you really know it, or is it just, can you tell me what am I thinking, or if I'm telling you a lie or not?
Yeah, no, it's interesting. So can I tell you what you're thinking? Well, I can get closer to the truth of it. I mean, I could guess, because I can't get inside your head. There aren't any mind readers out there. There just aren't. There are people who can get closer to what's going on in your head. So that's the key, is what are people really thinking? Well, let's get closer to the truth of what they're thinking and start to look at the tactics and the tools for how you'd get closer to the truth of what they're thinking. And also, let's value it. Like if you're saying, AJ, if you're saying, hey, what am I thinking? I'd be like, why would I want to know? Like, what difference does it make to me what you're thinking or not? How valuable would it be to know what you're thinking right now? Yeah. And so if I could put a value on it, then I might be able to work out what I'm prepared to spend or do in order to know exactly what you're thinking. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I think I'm going to read this book. I've not read it yet. And I just saw that it has been recommended by some FBI negotiator to probably it lets you know a lot about what people are thinking. It gives you an idea at least. And that could be quite
certainly what it's about is it's a book on critical thinking disguised as a book on body language. What I'm really trying, myself and Tracy Thompson, the co-author on it, what we're trying to do is help people understand the tools and techniques to better think about other people and how they're thinking. If I can think better about how to find out what you're thinking, I'll get closer to the truth. If I do what my instinct is designed to do, which is to guess, and guess with a bias towards the negative, I'll either hit the bullseye or be outside the bullseye. I'll either be correct or totally inaccurate or something in between. If I use critical thinking, I can get closer to the truth. And some of the ways of critical thinking are so simple and basic and easy to do, okay? That it's mind-bogglingly stupid how simple it is. And let me give you an example. Let me give you an example of this, okay? So what I want you to do, AJ, is just to think of a number right now. Just think of a number, okay? You got a number in your head?
Yeah.
All right, AJ. Okay, what number did you have in your head?
You want me to tell you?
Yeah.
8.
Yeah, okay, great. So I just now know what you were thinking. How did I get to know it? I just asked you. Just asked you because there was zero risk to asking you. Yeah, it's not embarrassing. It's not, it's just like, it doesn't affect me very much. Just ask you. Well, so if I can do that with what number's in your head, yeah, why can't I do it with other stuff? Let me try. AJ, what have you most enjoyed about the interview we're doing together? What's been most enjoyable for you?
Learning about the primitive brain.
Okay. So look how easy it is for me to find out stuff.
Well, but that is only easy when I am open and willing to share what is in my mind.
Okay.
But you wouldn't
okay.
want
So
to use this skill in these kind of circumstances, right? You want to use it when you're not sure what is going on.
Okay. So look, think of something that you are not willing to share.
Okay.
Yeah, you got it? You got the thing that you're not willing to share? Okay. AJ, why aren't you willing to share it?
I don't think it's worth it.
Oh, okay. Could be worth it. Could be
Well,
worth it.
because I don't know what could be the outcome of sharing it here.
Oh, okay. So you're like, well, you're worried it could be bad or good, or what is it? Is it something that feels risky for you?
Not really. I mean, it might not be that important for you as it is for me.
Oh, okay. I don't mind. It's like, it's just a bit of fun.
Yeah, I know where you're going with that.
Yeah, it's just a bit of fun.
I got
Just
it.
tell me anyway. Just tell me anyway.
Oh no, I was just thinking about some backache I'm having right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I get backache as well because I'm like sitting down all the time, and I get backache.
Yeah,
as
so
well.
now you know.
So look how simple that was. You weren't willing to tell me. I just asked you why not. I made it socially okay for you, and I used a lot of nonverbal to go, this is just fun, doesn't really matter, I don't mind. And look how quickly you gave up the information.
Yeah.
That I said, think of something you're not willing to tell.
I
And
think
how quickly I got you willing to tell it.
that is, you made it look so simple, but that is so difficult because people just don't ask.
They don't ask. You're right. And why don't they ask? Because they're worried about them. Here's the interesting thing. Most people around understanding what's going on inside somebody's head would never do what I just did with you because they think other people should think that they have some kind of superpower and they're able to watch people and read their minds and they've got some super skill. You don't have some super skill. We just understand how to best get closer to the truth and the risks and the rewards around that. And then we work out what the risk and the reward is. And I don't really care if an audience goes, well, that didn't seem like body language reading or anything like that. And I say, I don't mind. I don't care what you think of it. Yeah, all I was trying to do is get closer to what's happening inside somebody's head. Because that's what the book is about, truth and lies, what people are really thinking. And what are the truth and lies around that? And there's lots of lies around, well, you can watch people's body language and tell what they're thinking. You can't. You can use it as part of a bigger system and get closer to the truth and hit the truth, sometimes really quickly or over time. And you know, I've got colleagues in the body language world and the human behavior world who are brilliant at very quickly getting closer to the truth through a system of critical thinking and interview and bringing in lots of data to quickly get to it. And that's very different from most people on the planet who just guess and believe they're right or get it wrong and believe they're right or get it right and don't think they're right. Anyway, I don't know whether that makes any sense to you.
I think that's very simple, and that's a big takeaway from that, which is just ask if you really want
just
to.
ask. Just ask unless it seems really risky, and then assess how valuable the information would be and weigh it against the risk, and then decide if you could, again, should just ask.
Yeah. Okay. So there is one question that I ask most of my guests, which is about the skills that, so like body language and communication are some of the top skills that are not taught in your academics, but are so important to grow. I wanted to know what are the other than body language and communication, what are the skills that you believe should be in the academic curriculum for the students?
Oh yeah. Well, you know, I think it's body language is part of it and behavior is part of it, but let's just call the course, the study, getting along with people. Okay. And it would involve an element of body language and psychology and behavior and teamwork and critical thinking and cultural understanding. So there would be history and there would be geography and there would be anthropology and, you know, there would be a whole bunch of stuff in there. But ultimately what it would be about is it's usually better when you get along with people. How would you get really good at that? How would you get good at getting along with people? Because there's been lots of different, I guess, areas of work that help with that. You know, some people join teams and play sport, and some people, you know, get in an orchestra or sing in a choir, and some people join clubs, and you know, there are all kinds of things that put us in a position where it's like, we better get on with people or this won't work. But why not just have it as a course? You know, it wouldn't take that long to get a little bit of good knowledge on just how you on purpose get along with people. Because I think, you know, for a lot of the time, certainly I was talking with a friend of mine, Joe Navarro. I got one of Joe's books here. Yeah, Joe's a fantastic person in the world of body language. There's one of his books. Yeah. And I was talking with Joe, and Joe's an ex-FBI special agent, and has written many of the excellent books on body language that are out there. And he was saying, you know, isn't it just about getting along with people? Isn't it just about getting along? I was saying, yeah, that's really why we're in this, is we're just trying to, you know, get along, get aligned with people. And if that means we're using it to interrogate and get information out of people that they wouldn't normally give us or don't want to give us, then yeah, it's about getting along with people so they like us and they go, here, have the information that I wasn't going to tell you. Okay. So yeah, I would say put the course getting along with people onto the syllabus.
Yeah, I think the two things that you've told are so simple, but they are so impactful. So really, thank you for sharing that.
My pleasure.
So finally, where can people reach you?
Yeah, so they can reach me at truthplane.com, Truthplane, truthplane.com. Head to that website. You'll find lots of stuff about me and videos, and, you know, enjoy all of that. Head over to my YouTube channel, Mark Bowden. Also, there's another great YouTube channel that I'm part of called The Behaviour Panel. The Behaviour Panel. Head over to there as well. If you're really interested in how to best read body language, The Behaviour Panel is a great YouTube channel to go to, which I'm part of that group.
Okay, thanks, Mark. I'll put all of those links into the description below. And
That's great.
Thank you very much for your time, Mark, today. It was really interesting talking to you and learning a lot about body language and how you can actually use it to make a lot of difference in your communication skills. Thanks for that.
Thanks so much. Been a great interview. Thanks, Ajay. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And guys, if you are really interested in this area, then Mark has put up so much of information on YouTube alone. If you just go there, there is tremendous amount of things that you can learn from him. So please do check out. I will put all the links into the description. And if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, then please do go hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to press the bell icon so that you get notification to all my future videos. Thank you very much.